Hi guys, welcome to WebSense Pro. Welcome to another tutorial video. In this video, I'm going to show you guys how you can scrape unlimited data of email using Google Map completely for free. So you don't have to pay for any API key. You don't have to do that manually. You can do that automatically by an AI agent, which you can create without any coding using N8N. If you are not sure what is N8N, it is basically a tool which give you a UI interface to create agents, and these agents basically works on your behalf. Whatever you want to do, they can do while you sleep. So I'm going to show you guys how you can scrape unlimited emails using Google Maps with N8N. Also, don't forget to subscribe the channel. I am going to create a lot of AI related content, AI agents content, and a lot of content which you will love. So make sure to subscribe the channel. So that's the N8N workflow, which I'm going to teach you guys how you can create on your own. And at the end of this video, I'm also going to tell you guys how you can download this ready-made workflow of the N8N, so you don't have to create that if you don't want to, but it is my responsibility to explain every single node on how you can create that on your own. So as you can see, it has scraped 9 items and it is going to automatically update that in my Google Sheet. So I am going to test the workflow and explain you guys how we can set that up. And after explaining this one, I'm gonna give you this advanced workflow as well at the end of this video, where it will have multiple URLs of Google Maps. So this first workflow is going to scrape one single URL, and the advanced scraping workflow will have multiple URLs, and you can add like tens of hundreds of URLs, and it is going to scrape a lot of data really quickly. So let's first run this workflow and see how it works and how it updates automatically this Google Sheet with the emails. By the way, it is using this Google Sheet connector. So if you want to learn how to connect your Google Sheets or your Google credentials with N8N, I have already created a video. So if you Google WebSense Pro, Google credentials, N8N, you are going to see this video on the top. All you have to do is just watch this 7-8 minute video to connect your Google Sheet with N8N. Now, after running this workflow, it will automatically scrape the Google Map URL and update the emails. Now, I've already scrapped plumbers in Queens. I'm going to search for electricians in Queens. And when you hit enter, you can see that we have this URL. I am going to copy this URL. And in our first HTTP request after this test trigger workflow, I'm going to update this URL. So open this node and update the URL. After updating the URL, now it is going to scrape all of the websites within these Google Map listings. And after scraping all of these websites, it is going to manually go on every single website and search for the email and then update that email into our Google Sheet. Okay, now let's run our workflow. I'm going to click on test workflow. And I'm also going to start my counter to see how long it actually takes to scrape the emails. Okay, I am going to search for online timer clock. Let's do this one. And stopwatch. Okay, I'm going to run the stopwatch and see how long it's going to take to scrape the emails for the electricians in Queens and for this one single page. Perfect. Now let's start the stopwatch and start the workflow. Click on test workflow to see how long it takes to update the URLs. Okay, our workflow execution has been completed and we have 23 items updated in our Google Sheet, and it took about 1 minute to scrape all of these websites and find emails from those website lists and updated that in our Google Sheet. Okay, we have some weird data, but we can filter that out using our filter node. But you get the point that you can do really fast scraping using this Google Maps scraping workflow. And with this advanced one, you can have multiple Google Maps URL and you can basically scrape a ton of data really fast. Okay, I'm going to create this workflow to show you guys how you can create that on your own. So I'm going to create a new workflow. Perfect. So first step is to trigger that. So I'm going to add the trigger manually. And then second step is to send an HTTP request. HTTP request. I'm going to make an HTTP request, and HTTP request will be made to this Google Map URL. And I'll just copy this URL, paste the URL here, and then test the step. Okay, our request, HTTP request is working. Now when we get the data which we get is this one. And now we will use another node to find the website URLs within this data which we have received from the HTTP request node. Okay, now let's click on this plus sign. I'm going to add the code node, and I'm going to add code which will basically search all of this data and find the website URL and give it give an array of the data with the website URLs. Okay, for that I have already prepared the code. So that is the code which we are going to use, which is basically going to scrape the website URL, going to match the URL using the regex method. So what it does is basically first I've created an input variable by adding this const input, and this is our data from the previous node. So if I remove that and drag and drop this, so that's what it is. And now I am creating another const, another variable which has this regex formatting, meaning it's telling that you should find the website URL which match this syntax. It is basically regex method to find the specific string within all of those characters. And now we have created another variable by the name of website, which is matching our regex data and putting all of the website URL in this website variable. And now I have created a map which will basically return a JSON object with all of the website URLs. Now if I click on test step, you can see that we have list of all of the websites. Electric AC Inc. And here we have rjrsoelectrical.com. You're seeing these weird URLs which we are going to remove using another node. So let's go back to Canvas, add another item, and add in a filter node where we are going to filter all of the ones which we do not need. And I'm going to click on test step, and here we are going to remove this schema, Google, and all of these URLs which we do not need. So here I am going to drag and drop this data from my previous node, and from string I am going to specify that I do not want to include that or does not contain, and I'm going to paste in this schema. Similarly, I am going to add more condition here so I can remove all of these unrequired data. Perfect. String does not contain. Okay, now let's test it, test the step, and see we have still a little weird data which I'm gonna remove. And what else do we have? G-static, we have removed the G-static. Perfect. Do we have another weird website URL which we don't need? Nope. All set. Perfect. Let's click on test step again. And here we go. We now have 24 website URL, and now we are going to give a post request to these website URL as well. Perfect. Now I am going to add a loop so we can make post requests to every single of this 24 items and then get the data, right? So let's click on plus sign and then add a loop node. And we are running a batch size of 1. And now for this here, we are going to replace it with the HTTP request. I'm going to remove this and first hit test workflow so we have the data in the loop, and then we can point towards the HTTP request. So let's click on test workflow. Okay, now let's click on plus sign, and now we are going to make another HTTP request. And for the data, we will have this URL as our data. So it will give HTTP request to this website, and as we have 24 items, it is going to loop over 24 times and give HTTP request to that. And while you're creating a scraper, it is good to add wait on your workflow because it is for good practice. Otherwise, your IP may get banned for doing a lot of requests. So it's better to add in the wait here. And before the wait, we are also gonna add the code to find the emails. So we will add the code node, and for this code, I've already prepared that. And don't worry about the code, you will find all of the codes and the workflow within the YouTube video description, but I am going to explain all of that nodes to you in this video. And here what we are basically doing is adding the data from the previous node, which would show up here, to this input variable. And we have created another variable, which is basically another regex formula to match the email format. And now on this new emails variable, we are matching email regex with this. So we are matching input with email regex, and whatever the data is matched, we are adding it to this variable. And now we are returning an object, a JSON object, which will have emails. Perfect. Now here we have, now I am going to point this to loop. So it is going to run this 24 times. And once it's ran 24 times, it is going to give me data here. So I'm going to add another wait, which will be for 1 second. And after creating loop for 24 times, it is going to give me emails on this wait node here. So let's test the workflow. I'm going to click on test workflow, and you can see it made HTTP request. And now it's sending 181 items, then it filter with 24 items, and now it is going to run the loop 24 times, meaning it is giving HTTP request to these 24 websites which we have scraped via Google Maps. And after making HTTP request, it is sending this to code node, which is then extracting the emails. Now we are getting error because sometimes the website are not up and running, which gives the 404 error. So in order to avoid that, we are going to open this node, go to settings, and then click on error, please continue. Similarly, we will do the same for this one, and click on settings, and then on error, continue. Perfect. Now let's hit test workflow one more time. And here another HTTP request. We have 181 items, then filter to 24 items. And now we are looping over 24 items. Okay, we have our 24 items ready. And if we check out our item, we have these weird emails, which we're going to filter out, and these workable emails, right? Perfect. Now, what we need is a split out node. So what it does, it basically turn multiple item into one list item, and it gives basically a one list. So we're gonna do this, and we will test our step. Okay, what's the issue here? Okay, it is not going to be executed. Let's see what's the issue. Oops, so we didn't drag out the data which we wanted to drag. So let's test another time. I'm going to add a limit, so it is not really time consuming to run the workflow again for the testing purposes, because I need to drag and drop the data from previous node in my split out node. So I'm going to limit that with the 5 items. So it is not going to execute completely. It is just going to limit the workflow to show the 5 items on this step here. So I'm going to run this, and let's remove this line here, test the workflow. Okay, we have data in our wait. Now I'm going to point that out and drag and drop my emails to here, which it will give a one list. Okay, so now we have one list. Now we will filter out the ones where we don't have any data, just like this one. And so I am going to filter and make sure that it exists. So I think it's an array, right? So array exists, make sure it exists. That's the step. Okay. String exists. That's the step. Waiting to execute. Perfect. Here we have, and now we are going to remove this weird Wixpress emails as well. And I'm going to add another condition and going to drag and drop this email, and string does not contain Sentry next. Perfect. I'm going to add this and then click on test step again. And we still have these emails, which it should not have. I think I would just mention it Sentry does not contain. Perfect. Let's test one more time. Okay, we have all of the weird items removed from our data. I'm going to add another node to remove the duplicate items. So I'm going to add remove duplicates, remove items repeated within current input. Perfect. It is going to automatically remove the duplication within the email field. And after that, I am going to update all of data in my Google Sheet. So let's search for Google Sheet. I need to append or update raw in my sheet. I'm going to select that. And I have already told you guys how you can create your Google credentials. All you have to search for WebSense Pro Google credentials N8N. This is the video where you will learn how to connect your Google Sheet with N8N. Okay, I have already done that. So I am going to first find my sheet, which is by the name of Google Maps scraping. And from list, I'm going to add sheet 1, and it's now fetching the columns. And we need to drag and drop the data from the previous node. So I'm going to run that again and drag and drop this emails, and then now test a step. And now you can see that it has updated these two emails, which is showing up here. I'm going to remove this first and test the step again to make sure that it's updating the data to Google Sheet. Test the step. Perfect. Go to Google Map and you can see that the data in my Google Sheet is updated. Okay, our workflow is completely working. Go back to Canvas, and now I am going to remove this limiter, or basically deactivate that. So we have all of the 24 items, 24 website URLs, which will loop over, send the HTTP request, find the emails, and then update that in the Google Sheet. Okay, let's deactivate this by clicking on this icon here. And now I'm going to test the workflow. First, let's remove these emails and then click on test workflow. See, our workflow is working fine. It is looping through all of the different website URLs, finding the emails, and finally, it is going to update that in the Google Sheet. And let's see how many emails we are going to scrape via this method. And then I'm going to show you guys how we can make it a little more advanced. So we don't have one URL to scrape. So you can see that it is only getting 199 items from one post request, or like after filtering out, we have just 24 websites. After doing this workflow, we are going to make it a little more advanced. So we can have multiple URLs and create that into list. So we have a better workflow and we have more emails so we can scrape out. Okay, you can see that we have 13 emails in our Google Sheet updated. Now we are gonna make it a little more advanced. So we are going to basically disconnect this one here. We are going to add another code node, and in here we are going to add the code. Again, all of the codes will be in the YouTube video description. So let's copy this code and paste it here. I'm going to explain you guys what is the code doing. So it is basically creating this array and then returning this as an object. So we can add multiple Google Maps URL. You can see I have it here, plumbers in Jersey City, I have plumbers in Manhattan, I have plumbers in Queen. I can add another URL. So I'm going to add another comma, hit enter, and then add another URL by the name of plumbers in Bronx. So these are all of the boroughs of New York City, and we can add multiple Google Maps URL like this. So let's do Staten Island as well. I'm gonna copy this, paste it here, and here I'm gonna choose Staten Island. The plus sign represent the space. You don't have to manually add in this URL. All you can do is simply go to Google Maps, search for anything, and copy this URL which is showing up, right? And once you do that, you can add in here. And if I click on test step, it is basically going to give me a list. You can see we have this URL list, and now we are going to make this HTTP request. And before we do that, we will have to add a loop as well, because we cannot send HTTP requests to multiple URLs at once. So we're gonna create a loop. So add in loop. I'm gonna click on plus sign, find loop, and let's run a loop. We are going to run one URL, one HTTP request, right? So select the batch one and move this down. I'm going to replace this here and connect with this here. And in HTTP request, I'm going to basically add in from the previous node. So I don't need the URL here. I'm going to basically add in from the previous node. So let's disconnect this for now and test the workflow. Okay, first let's delete this one here, loop over item, test workflow. Here we have, I'm going to connect it again and then drag and drop from the previous node. So I have this URL list and I'm going to drag and drop it to this URL where we are making the HTTP request. We have 5 URLs added in our list, right? And now we are going to connect this code node, and let's do that. So let's connect the code node. Let's make it more organized and connect our code node. And in our code node, this is from the previous data, right? And after making HTTP request to every single URL, we're gonna wait for 1 second and then loop it over. So it is going to run in a loop. If we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 URLs here, it is going to basically first give HTTP request to this one, wait for 1 second, then for this one, then for this one. That's how loop is going to work. And after completing, we are going to add another wait so we can see how much data we are getting. So let's add in 1, and now let's test the workflow. You can see that we have 194 item on the first request, 396 item on the second request, 620 items, 4th, 5th, and our items are going bigger, 1037 items. So here we have 1037 website URLs, right? Again, we're going to filter out. So all of the remaining steps are already done with this filter here, which is going to filter. We are going to connect it like this, or you can simply do this like here, and it is going to run the same workflow which we have created before. Now, in this scenario, we are going to wait a little longer, but we will have a huge data of emails, not just 9-10 emails. We can basically add in a lot of Google Maps URL and scrape a lot of data completely for free. And I guess that's it for the video, guys. Also, if you have watched this video, if you like the video, make sure to subscribe the channel. It will help us create more valuable content for you guys. Until next video, have a great day.